Hi, my name is Kevin McDonald, and I'm declaring my independence. Independence from what? Why, negative thoughts and energy, of course. Chief among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my independence report. And welcome everybody to my Independence Report. And this is Tuesday afternoon at 1 o'clock. And this is kind of Dana Parker's hour. We spend some time talking with her. And mostly we spend talking to her because obviously she's a woman, she's feminine, which of course means that she's the weaker sex. And, okay, I gotta tell you the truth. Here's the thing. We were talking about this yesterday. We had an in-depth conversation about equality and women and men and all that kind of good stuff. And she told me something that I had no idea about, and she's going to tell you what that is right now. So Dana, you went and looked in the in a dictionary, in Webster's dictionary, and you looked for, what did you look for?
For dictionary.com. So interesting enough, so I have been fascinated by generational cultural patterns for a really long time. And so I personally have experienced a lot of emotions around feeling weak because I'm a woman. And so I started doing some research and started looking into things. And apparently, it's only been in the last 100 years that we have a right to vote. And even shorter to own a home, to have jobs, there's all these things that have been happening for us as women in such a short amount of time. But in 2010, I mean, this is not that long ago, 2010.
Oh, I remember.
Under weak. And if you look at the synonyms, feminine or feminine and womanly are under weak. And if you look under power, there's masculine, male. And I thought, what in the world? Like, if that's not a blaring cultural pattern just right there in the dictionary, I don't know what is. So it was shocking.
So you somehow had a problem with that?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm just kidding, because I had no earthly idea, Dana, that was even a thing anymore.
I know. Isn't that interesting? And what's so interesting too, Kevin, is I really see this as a really fascinating time for women, because we have come so far in giving women rights, equal rights, to work in the government, to have the jobs that we want, the education we want, all of those things. And there's still things that aren't quite balanced out, like men make a higher salary than women, average, all of that. There's conversations like that happening a lot in our culture right now. And, this is really the foundation. I think this is a time in history that's really fascinating, because it's the first time that there are lots of tools out there to gain freedom of mind. Freedom of mind is just as powerful as the outward freedoms. Actually, I believe they're more powerful because it's the inward ideas that we carry that create the outer world. This is the whole point of Inner World Movement, which is my company, is inner world movement, inner world healing, or movement through things, blocks, generational cultural patterns, personal things, inner world healing for outer world results. So, this is a topic I'm really passionate about, because there's so many women speaking right now about equal rights. And yes, I believe in that. And we have to own that space within us and do that healing from generational cultural patterns that we're all carrying as women, to believe that we're worthy and deserving. And we don't have to earn that space, just to claim that within us. And then the outer world has to adjust. So,
and that is, it goes all the way back to, the casting couch, and if you want to get along, you got to go along, young lady. And girls get, I was watching a video just yesterday about a reporter that was getting catcalled while she was doing a report on the air by these people that are just these male people that are just stupid people
Yes.
and stuff. And it's amazing that it has gone on so long, but I think there are more of you that are saying, you know what, that's enough. Feminine energy is strong like water, very persistent, protective of her creations, which are her family. And a big shift is all about the comeback of feminine energy. Man,
I agree. And I think you're right, Susan. I think we're onto something, and I think it's really important. To me, I also want to speak to this overcompensation that can happen. You know, when I've noticed this a lot when people go from a powerlessness to power, there can be this overcompensation, and we have to really be aware of where our intentions and our emotions are at as women. We don't go into the workforce to dominate or to belittle men. That's not a healthy feminine energy. That's not a healthy feminine space. If you have to show it, you don't know it. You know it first, and then everything else lines up. And yeah, there are times where I think we have to retrain the people around us how to treat us. But you can do that in real, true confidence and power without demeaning or belittling any other person. And I think that's really important. Also I don't need you. I don't need a man in my life. I have it all together. I can, there's a little bit of that can be overcompensation at times for some women. Some women, it's true and authentic that they're here to have an experience where having a partner isn't necessarily something they want in this life, and that's fine. It's the overcompensation part that I kind of wanted to call out and say we have to be aware of both. Powerlessness and overcompensation, both are unhealthy in their own right.
And Susan says more. Know it inside. Yes, confidence comes from within, and that is Absolutely. So true. That is so true. I got a question for you, though.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about this quite a little bit, and that is, there seems to be a cultural thing between men and women that we are supposed to couple up, as it were. We're supposed to spend our life working to get into a relationship, and stuff. And for some of us, that doesn't ring true for some of us anymore. Do you think that is a cultural shift that is happening in our culture as well?
Absolutely. I mean, I see so much in terms of relationships that can happen and take place, and oftentimes it comes from a projection of our own ideas that we place on other people. We place like, this is how it's done, this is how it should be done. And if we can really tune out the voices of everyone else and know thyself, right? Know thyself is one of those powerful things Socrates said. That when you know yourself and know your values and what it is you value, what it is your heart desires, outside of cultural norms, outside of those things, I think that's where the real power is. And knowing why you want it. Like something I've been experiencing, especially because I got back into the dating world in the last 2 years, right? One of the things I noticed that was coming up for me is this fear of, I need a man in order to be provided for. That's a cultural thing. And I noticed this like fear and scarcity that would come up during those times where I was single. And so addressing those emotions and calming those fears and saying, oh, I know what this is. This is just cultural programming I've been carrying. It's okay to be scared, Dana. You got this. You live in a different time now. And I went through and I did some beautiful generational clearing on this topic, really honoring and respecting the women that went before that didn't really have a choice, and saying I no longer choose to carry these patterns, and stepping into my own power of, okay, what does that look like now? What does that feel like? What does it sound like for me? And it's been such an incredible journey. Incredible for me as a woman, because I'm the first to get divorced and in my family and learn how to provide for myself. And that's a new thing. So I hadn't really had this standard of woman providing for herself in my view. And so it's a whole new world and experience for me to step into that. And, I can feel myself getting in alignment in really beautiful ways. And it feels refreshing and empowering to not be driven to be in a relationship because I'm scared.
Well, and you also get to, because of you're the boss of yourself, You don't have to you don't have to allow somebody else to dictate to you what is acceptable for you to do and not acceptable for you to do. You
Yeah,
get to choose. That's
right,
very empowering.
right. And creating that as a standard for myself then welcomes in a relationship that will honor that too. You know, as I honor that and say, you know, this is important to me, that my intuition and what I feel is best for my life, my business, and my dreams, I will pursue. And I deserve a partner that will support that and help me move forward with that. And it's been beautiful.
And not only do you support a partner like that, you have to demand a partner like that.
Yes.
Because if you fall into the same trap that you were before, which was I'm subservient, my
Mm-hmm.
husband is the king of the house,
Mm-hmm.
and husband, I'd like to do this. No, oh, okay,
Right.
and you get out of that. You'll never go back to having a relationship that and isn't that, speaking from a male's perspective, isn't that frightening for a guy? Have you found that to be
Yes,
true?
absolutely. It's very threatening because a lot of men really define themselves by being the king of their home, and what that looks like is control. And so, what happens when we as women do our work and heal in those areas and say, no, I'm not participating that way anymore. I'm choosing out of that. And your voice doesn't trump my own intuition and what I feel. And I'm asking you to support that. When we do our healing with that, when we work through that and really stand in our power, men have to do the work. They have to. They will get to. They will get to look at their stuff. And you know, it takes a lot of mental, emotional intelligence, I think, to separate too a man's reaction to a woman standing in her power, to allow them to throw their fit and say, nope, I'm not participating in that. You need to go take care of that somewhere else. And there's no blaming me. I'm standing in my power as a woman and I'm choosing this on purpose. You know, I was actually really lucky enough, you know, the last 12 years to, at times, even scared, fearfully say, I don't think I can put your voice above my own. And to take that step and be like, oh, I did it. I think it's okay. And things would turn out, the universe would provide for me, you know, all of my education, all of this, you know, I added it up over $100,000 invested in my own growth and personal development and certifications. All of that was me saying, no, I'm not going to put your voice, your fears as a man above what my intuition is saying. And I was very lucky and fortunate because now coming out, you know, going through the divorce, I have 12 years of experience, 12 years of investments and time, and I am who I am, and I'm prepared to do what I am going to do, and I am doing right now because I listened. And so if I hadn't, I would be starting from square one right now.
And it can be at the very beginning. Be honest, at the very beginning, it scared the hell out of you, didn't it?
It was so scary because I was just a stay-at-home mom. When I first felt to step into my first program and investment, it was a little over $2,000, and it was a huge thing for me because I went home and my previous husband, which by the way, I'm not here to villainize him. He was doing the best he knows how with what he had. It wasn't a no, it was a hell no. I will not be financially supporting any of that because he was scared and there was a lot of other things involved with that, which I think is normal and a lot of people experience. So, but to step into that for the first time and say, well, if you're not going to support that, then I will find a way. And you know, Kevin, every month a way was provided. I cleaned motels. I cleaned truck stops. That's what I used to do at the beginning because I was so scared and I had never worked and had anything else that I did because I got married at 19, like a good Mormon girl, and stay at home. And then at 23, I'm like, well, I can do anything. All right, bring it. Well, how am I going to do this? Truck stops and motels.
And, you know,
And it
you
worked.
do, but yeah, you do what you got to
You do what
do.
you gotta do.
You got to start someplace.
I'm grateful.
The only thing that would have been defeating is if you didn't do that. If
Agreed.
you if you would have said, "Oh well,
Fine,
all
I
right,
can't.
honey,
I'm not in a position. Yeah, I'll listen to you. Those kinds of things can be really disempowering. And I'm not here to create disorder or chaos within marriages at all. Uh, and I do believe it's really important to not let other voices trump your own inner voice. I think that when you do that, you live a life based on what everyone else wants for you. And I did that. I did that. In this one area, I was able to walk through that. But in every other area of my life, I've had so many moments where in the driver's seat of my life, there's my parents' hands, my religion's hands, my husband's hands, everyone's hands on the steering wheel. And sometimes it's really hard and I think it's complete act of courage and bravery to say, I'm gonna move forward. I'm gonna let the universe or God, whatever it is that you call your higher power, provide a way. And every way was provided. And really great opportunities and resources were brought to me because I took that leap of faith and said, I'm committing, okay, bring it. Support me, universe. Support me in what this looks like.
Do you remember, or was there a moment when this all came into focus for you?
This as in
This as in, my life is not the way that I choose for it to be.
yeah,
I don't know what it is yet,
yeah.
but the first thing is to determine that this isn't where I want my life to go. And then you go about finding out how you do want your life to go. Do you recall where that moment was?
I do, yeah. And it still brings me to tears.
if you
It does.
if you sweetie, if you'd prefer not to share, I totally
Oh,
get it.
I love it. I'm not afraid of emotion at all. And it still brings me to tears because those can be, waking up can be heart wrenching because everything you once knew, everything that you once built, now looking at it from a more awake space, um, to recognize that everyone else's voices had created my whole life, was really quite devastating. And then I had to go and retest my own beliefs, retest my own things. And, and I don't regret the journey. I don't regret being a part of the religion that I was part of. It taught me beautiful things that I still love and hold dear. I don't regret building the life that I did, and I don't regret marrying the man that I did. There's so much learning and growth. I actually, in this moment, feel so much gratitude for the teacher he was, the teacher he is for me. And he recently started kind of seeing someone, and my heart is overjoyed. Like, I want him to be happy. I want him to experience his highest joy. And that to me is beautiful. Like, that moment, understanding that, and really saying, no more. I will not create and live a life based on other people's standards. No more. I'm done. Was one of the scariest moments of my life, I would say.
Okay, so there was this friend of mine who had a similar experience to yours, and she was married, and she had 4 kids, and she is nobody that you know. Um and and the husband and her, well, at one point she made the decision that it wasn't going to work for her anymore, and so she had to make the decision that she was going to leave, and which was going to cause divorce and all that kind of stuff. But my question is, and this is nobody that you know, but the husband, did he search inside himself to determine what he could have done better, or was it a full blame game on this other person that it was all her fault?
Hmm. That's such a great question, and one that, from interactions and experiences I've had, I think it's a combination. Because I think when you separate from somebody, you can't help but think, what was my part, you know? And I think especially after the initial hurt and heartbreak, because I'm the one that chose out. I'm the one that said this is the direction that I feel best we get to head to. And that's heartbreaking. That's really scary for somebody who planned on eternity and all of time together. And so I I'd imagine there's probably a combination. Um, there's definitely uh, a fair amount of hurtful blame.
Well, and from my perspective, it's like you were growing as a human being, you were growing as a person, and you wanted more.
Yeah.
He was of the position, it's not God's teaching. You
Right.
are subservient.
Yep.
You are to stay where you are.
Right.
Now, when you said not only sir, no, but
Yeah.
hell no, and
Right.
you went on your way,
Mhm.
if it were me,
Right.
I would have had a self-reflective moment where I would say, what did I do that I could have done better to
Right.
support her in the things that she wanted to do, rather than say, nope, my dad didn't do that, my uncle didn't do that, my great grand didn't do that, and we're not going to do that either.
Right.
Which is what a lot of people do,
Yeah, I agree.
you know. But what I found is most men are not very self-reflective.
No. And I think that that was part of it is um, you know, part of the journey together was I'm very self-reflective and I'm very much in the growth mindset. And with that, I really do desire and I think it's vital that I have a partner that does the same because it's what I bring to the table too. And over time, I did give it a lot of time. And there was a lot of invitations, loving invitations, sometimes angry invitations because of frustration. I think that's normal part of the humanness of my process for me. And with that, you know, what I found and what I learned is it's okay to be patient in the process of another individual growing as long as there's progress and there's time frames. I think time frames create a really healthy pattern and that you have consistent check-ins for yourself of is this still in the highest and greatest good for all involved? That's the question I like to ask. Is this still in the highest and greatest good for all involved? And that was the question I intuitively went into and asked personally when I decided to get a divorce. And that was after a lot of processing my hurts and my pains and my anger. I didn't want to make the decision from a space of hurt or anger. And I think that's really important. But processing all of those hurts and then being at a space of, okay, now I want to know truth, what's in the highest and greatest good for all involved, including my children, our children, and everyone. And it was clear, crystal clear, my answer. And I never forgot it. And I just pursued it, no matter the pain that came, backlash, the hurt. I went with it because that's important. And I made room for him to have a more joy-filled relationship. I have made room for that, and I've made room for me too. And to me, that's beautiful.
What you went through, by the way, you are an incredibly brave woman.
Thank you. I
Um,
agree.
because you went from a place where you got married when you were like 6. Okay,
Yeah.
you were 19. But I can tell you that when you're 19,
Youngin.
you
Oh,
don't know crap
you're a
about anything.
baby. I look at those
Exactly.
pictures. I'm like, I was a baby.
Yeah, you don't know anything about anything,
I agree.
and then to get into a situation where everybody's expected to do the same thing.
Hmm.
I told you, and it bears repeating. I went to a gathering of this particular
Yes.
type of group that it reminded me of life in the 50s, because
Yeah.
the men, their job was to stand around and talk about stuff and trucks and what's going on and things and work, and I got my guns, and then and the
Yeah.
women went around busily putting the food together, and they put it
Right.
out, and they took the lids off, and they put the
Right.
utensils in it and stuff, and then they said, okay, it's time for everybody to eat. And so the men said, all right, we'll be here in a minute, and they go and they grab their stuff, and the kids grab their stuff, and then the women end up at a picnic table with just women, and the women just are sitting
Right.
there talking to, and the men are, we're tough, and the women are, we're meek and mild, and we're gonna sit here and
Right.
it was like, this is the damnedest thing I've ever seen. This is
Right.
weird. And
Yeah.
but that is the culture that was presented in that environment.
I do have to say, it's a very stereotypical. There's always an exception to the rule. There's always going to be, different types of things, different people creating different patterns. But yes, that is a very stereotypical version of what I grew up in.
and so when you broke that pattern, it was
Yeah.
a real.
It was a shock.
Ooh, where the hell does she think she's going?
Who does she think she is doing that?
Exactly.
That is not how we roll here. We stand in line. This is how you do it. This is how it's done. What are you thinking?
Exactly. And it was incumbent upon you to be able to say, no, this is who I am. This is where I'm going. And this is what I'm going to do.
Oh, that takes so much inner strength to do that. And I say this, I'm laughing, and there's a lot of smiles and things like that as we talk about this. But honestly, it was one of the hardest things I ever did, I would say, in my life, because of the inner strength that it took to disappoint other people, to feel rejected, so rejected, and to feel unlovable. And I do believe that everyone in my life and my family members and everyone around me is just doing the best they know how with what they have and what they've been given. And my family really is a beautiful, especially my mother. She is so beautiful with her love. And one of the things that's been so incredible about her is she is committed to returning to love with me again and again and again, and doing her best to understand, even though my journey has been pretty devastating in my family and in our little bubble, and and we're in process of repairing our relationship and rebuilding, because it's a whole new world. It's a whole new ball game. I'm playing it a little bit differently with different rules, and she's like, well, what are your rules and how does that work? And it's messy. It's been really messy. But I'm committed to forgiveness and love, and she's committed to forgiveness and love, and with both those goals in mind, we can move through. And she's done a brilliant job at really adjusting things in her world to love. So
because both sides of the family, your natural family and his, were of the same religious philosophies.
Yeah. Yep.
So you had nobody. Did
Yeah.
you have like a mentor or anybody that was on your side through this process, or were you just out there flapping in the breeze all by yourself?
At times I felt very alone in it, but I think that that's a really normal experience, because no one can feel your emotions for you. You get to feel them. You get to process them. But absolutely, I call them my soul family. They're my people that they're not attached to what I do in my life or what I choose, or they just want my happiness. And I don't have to show up any certain way in order for them to feel good as my friends. They just show up, and they love me, and they celebrate me, and they pat me on the back and give me hugs and love me when I'm down. And so those individuals, I have 4 individuals that off the top of my head that were really there through that process, and to really love me in it. And that was a lifesaver, because I thrive with connection. Love and connection is everything to me. I thrive in it. and I needed that. So yeah.
Well, and I kind of believe that the entire process, the entire thing that you went through, was by divine intervention or divine design, if you will, because in order for you to help somebody else achieve the same thing, it's not it's not possible to say I understand to somebody who, if you haven't gone through what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
The only way you can possibly understand it is if you've gone through it, and then you can help guide somebody through it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that you're going to be a very big mentor for women that are looking to, as we talked to open the show with, to step into their own power.
Yeah.
And
I
to
do
get
feel
out
that
from
that's a
under.
big reason. Yeah. I do feel like that really is a big reason of why I chose the family that I did, the situations that I did, the religion that I was in. And I do believe that ahead of time I did choose those things purposely because I knew the growth and I knew what would happen. And I knew that there was a time where I'd wake up. And, 23 is really young to start the wake up process. And I'm so grateful. I'm grateful of that. I'm grateful that I committed and stepped in, and that was part of the journey because I'm 35 years young and I have all of this amazing understanding and passion and drive because of these hard experiences that I've overcome. And that's where the passion for my coaching comes in, and really the accumulation of all of those things created this Reclaim You course. So
Oh, you have a course, do you?
I sure do.
It's called, let's see. It's called, what is it called again? Reclaim what?
Reclaim You.
I'm just screwing around with you.
I know, I love it.
It is a great course that is happening this fall.
It is. Yep.
And I know enough about it that there are going to be 12 participants.
Yep.
It's about half full now, and it's going to be dynamic. It's going to be with Dana. You get personal coaching with Dana, and you also get coaching with a group of other people that she's run into in the course of her life, and that they're going to be there for you. And it's all designed so you can reclaim who you really are. Is that right?
Yep. Uncover and really uncover the patterns and programs culturally, generationally, and personally that we chose into, knowing how to let those things go and reprogram or remember, reclaim you and your own freedom of mind to move forward. And I think now is such an incredible time because we really do. It's the first time in history for us as women that we have tools, understanding, language to experience the freedom of mind from all of those ideas and programmings that we experience that we're all carrying. So I think it's a important time in the rise of the healthy feminine.
I agree, and things like the Me Too movement, when it's amazing to think about the dynamics between men and women and how dysfunctional they can be at times,
Mm-hmm.
and how the sexual thing can be just a horrible piece to it, and can affect people's lives to a great degree for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And we need to get it to stop. We really do need to figure out how that we can respect each other and get young boys to learn how to respect young girls so that as they grow up, that will become inherent and we can move forward with that. Do you kind of agree with that? But how do we get that done? I'm kind of stunned.
Yeah, so having my own story of sexual abuse in my childhood and overcoming those things, that was before all of this last couple of years of my life. That was the journey that I walked.
So hold on. You were part of a religious family, and they were very, very religious. How in the hell did that happen to you in a religious family?
Oh, it can happen to anyone. Yeah, anyone, anywhere, anytime. And it's so interesting, the whole process. And there's lots of elements to this. That's what actually started my personal development journey at 23, is I was overwhelmed that I stopped the abuse around 10, and then I didn't tell anyone. And when I finally opened up and told people, this dam of emotions broke open. I was having flashbacks. I was having all kinds of emotions that I had no clue were hidden in there. I didn't know the effects of that because I was only a child when I stopped it. And so it really propelled me and compelled me to find answers and find ways of healing. And I committed, like my whole heart was like, I will see this through and I will see it so it live to see the day where it no longer affects me, and I'm committed. And so, you know, a big part of that really came from having boys myself. And I had two young boys at 23, two little cute babies that I said, no, this isn't going to be the way they get to experience their mom emotionally eating, numbing, binge watching Netflix, and sleeping the day away. They no, that doesn't get to happen. That doesn't get to be part of their reality. I will choose something different. And so, yeah, I think that that experience, you know, now looking back, overcoming that, there's a lot of things we have to address. One, we have to address the shame culture around sex. We have to address that. This is a really big problem in our culture and society. You know, again, I'm just a huge believer of the inner world healing for outer world results. You know, the world, there's these, you know, sex trafficking and all kinds of things going on. That's a worldwide mirror for us, a worldwide mirror of our unhealthy patterns and beliefs about sex, period. And so each one of us deserves to go within and to look at, okay, what are the unhealthy ideas? You know, what's the shame, the guilt I have around sex? What are my issues around sex? And looking at those things and addressing and healing those things. That's really important, really important. You know, even our ability to experience large amounts of pleasure can experience sex. Like our judgments around that. I can only be so happy. Don't be that happy. You have a cap. No, there's no cap to joy or happiness or pleasure. You know, judging ourselves for that. Those are the kinds of things we have to look at. And then our own judgments on how we treat others. You know, how we treat others' bodies. Things that become acceptable, looking at those things, the shame around even being a perpetrator, you know, those kinds of things, we have to do some healing inside to really see results outside.
So when you brought it to light, or did you bring it to light?
I did, yeah. So
did
yeah,
they accept it as truth, or did they say, "Oh, honey, no"?
I was so lucky to have a mother that heard me. And, you know, to be honest, this was a generational pattern for a long time. And just intuitively, as I worked through some of those things, that's what I felt. And not the same exact experiences as me, but, or duration or time or whatever, not the details, but the experience of being a victim to sexual abuse, or having the experience of sexual abuse be a part of your life, was something that has happened in the family. And so my mother, you know, there was a lot to process, and she really stepped into a lot of love for me. She heard me, she cried with me, and it was hard for her as a mom because she was a really intuitive mom. She was. She's very in tune and intuitive, and she's one of those really amazing nurturers. And so the fact that she didn't know was hard. It was really hard.
Is she still with us?
Yes.
Oh, very nice, very
She
good.
is.
Because that's good that she can be there to support you. Because
Yeah,
everybody needs a little bit of support every now and
I
again.
agree.
And especially if you are stepping out into your own power and in a way that has never been done before. And I get
Yep.
that from a lot of women that I know, is that they're trying to step into something that has not happened before.
Right. And that's where I think it's so amazing, the timing of this Reclaim You program, that it's time, and having a space where women can come and be a part of a community of women who are doing that, like-minded people who are doing that work and processing that. I'm a huge fan of synergistic healing. I just think that there's power in it, and it's so much greater than one person doing it. So it's
Oh, it
exciting.
is. No question about it. And but we can all work together. It's all about energy, and it's about working together and
Yep.
achieving these things. And oh, by the way, I wanted to mention this is that now that you've gone through that and you've put out there that you've kind of put you're at the first drive-in window,
Mm-hmm.
and you're putting your order in for the man that you want to spend time with,
Yeah.
whether it be for the rest of your life or on Saturday nights every now and again.
Right.
And so you put your order in and you say, I want this, this, and this, and this, and this. And then you go up to the front window, you pay for it. And then you get to receive it.
Right.
Kind of how it works.
I mean, yeah, looking at it in some ways, I think my payment for it, if you will, not that we have to earn those things, but you have to be a vibrational match for what you want. And you want to be the kind of person that you want to have, right? You want to be a match for that and bring to the table what it is that you're wanting in your life. And so I think that is the quote unquote payment, if you will, is doing the inner work, to be that person. And right now in my experience, I'm feeling pretty good about the work I've done and what I've experienced in the form of a person showing up in my life to be that support and to mirror to me that work that I've done.
It's interesting because, and this is I have this debate with a family member all the time because it's we look at women and we look at men and we see different things. Okay, let me give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
You are a fine looking specimen of the species.
Thank you.
You've got a great smile. You're a very great, nice person. And so you getting a date in his perception would be, duh. There's
Yeah.
guys are lining up down the block to date you. Well, now in his case, he's got some flaws, and he's got to go out and he's got to solicit. He's got to be one of the guys that's standing in line to ask you to date. And so,
Right.
in his mind, it is not an equal environment between
Right.
men and women because even tell you this quick story. We were playing pool, my son and I, and in walks these two girls that were plus size people, and they came up to the pool table next to us, and they were kind of dressed in black lingerie-ish kind of come and get me kind of material, the ones that are sending out these signals. It's like neon. It's like, I'm here. Here I am. Well, then a little time goes by, and next to them, 4 guys walk in, and they're playing pool at that one. Well, my son and I go outside. He wants to have a cigarette, and then we come back in, and now there are 6 people playing at that pool table because the girls set out the signal.
Yep.
I'm here.
Yep.
And the boys responded to it, and hoping to get lucky, as it were.
Yes.
And as my son explained to me, he said, I could come here in I don't know, a Speedo, and nobody would be interested in dating me. So, guy, in his mind, men have it a lot more difficult than women. Do you find that? Have you heard that before?
I mean, I really like your analogy, and I like what you're saying, and I think there's truth to that. And again, there's always exceptions to the rules. There's always a different perspective, people having different experiences. But I think really getting down to it, the feminine way is receiving, is bringing in the things that we want, right? It is the feminine, and the masculine is going out and the doing, right? The getting. Yes. And so I think there's some beauty to that is and can be very fulfilling. But I also, I think that it can go both ways now. I would say in my experience, I was more of the, hey, let's go on a date. I'm not going to chat forever. Let's meet. Let's do this. And I have been on lots of dates and very little second dates.
Well, and
Just to be honest.
when I was 15, I went to a dance. It was at Lake Hills, and they had dances every Friday, Saturday nights, and I went there because I wanted to. I didn't want to dance particularly, but I wanted to meet some nice young lady, and it is Dana. It is terrifying putting yourself out there saying,
Oh,
would you I don't know, would you
would you
like to
dance with me?
dance?
Yeah. Would you want
And
to
then
dance?
and then to have them look at you up and down and go, nah, I don't think so. And
Right.
and it can be a very, so I assume that when you're working with a young guy or a man that has gone through that you are able to kind of give them some positive things that can help them understand that doesn't have to be the way it always is.
Right. Right. Well, and I think on both sides. So as women, it's important to understand that, to have some compassion for the courage it takes to ask a woman out, to ask a woman to dance. Have some compassion and understanding for that. Second, also, it's important to speak up. It's important to do that. When I first started dating, I'm debating on telling this story, but I'm going to tell it because it feels a little vulnerable. It's kind of funny. I went to a dance. It was one of the first dances after I separated that I went to, and there's a guy that came up to me and asked me to dance. And honestly, I think it's fun. I love dancing, so I'll say yes. To me, I'm like, if you're gonna be bold enough to ask me, let's do this. Let's just have some fun and see. And always give it one try. And then afterwards, he asked me for a number, and it was one of those things where in my heart I was like, I don't really want to, but he kept pushing, and so I was like, okay, so I put in a fake number, and and then he followed me around the rest of the dance, and I was like, Dana, let this be a lesson. Let this be a lesson. You can say yes, and that's okay, and that's enjoyable, but speak your truth. Speak your truth. If you don't want to, you can say, no, thank you so much. I'm flattered. I'm not really interested in giving you my number, but thank you so much for asking. Next time, and I empowered myself next time that that's the way I'd respond. And I think there's a kind way to go about that can help kind of soften the blow to a man, because man, you guys really do deserve some props for really putting yourself out there and being vulnerable. And so I don't know if that really answers your question, but I thought that might be a fun story.
Yeah, but then you see what happens is you've got that. I would use a stronger word, but I'm not going to. You've got that young man that followed you around like he was creeping you out because he was starting to stalk you and stuff. And he was following you around like a little puppy dog, going, "Can I get more attention? Can I get more attention?"
Exactly.
And so what he was doing was hurting all of mankind by being an idiot. You've got to be.
I also gave mixed signals. So yes. I take responsibility for my part. I gave mixed signals. So,
but all you did is dance with the guy, and then he asked for the number, and right. Of course, at that point, well, it's dangerous. You got to be very careful in this world, because you never know. Never know what somebody's motives are going to be.
It's true. It's true. This is actually really important. An important reason why, as women, when those of us that maybe experience divorce and get back into the dating world, you know how to trust your intuition, and you trust that. I was talking to a friend the other day about the first time another woman in my life gave me permission to honor my intuition. I was in a class, and there was a certain guy in the class that, again, would kind of pursue me in a way that was uncomfortable. And the word I used then was, I felt it was creepy. And I was talking to her, and I said, I feel bad. I feel bad that I'm calling him creepy. I don't even really know him that well. And she said, Dana, you get to learn how to listen to those things. You can still love someone from afar and have healthy boundaries, but you listen to that intuition. And that was really powerful for me. That was a really good moment. That was probably about 24, 25. that's when I started walking the journey of healing through not trusting my own intuition, not trusting my own heart. And it was powerful. And anyone listening, any woman listening that feels bad for their own intuitive senses about people or things, this is an invitation to shift into honoring yourself and being loving about your boundaries, loving and firm with your boundaries.
Dana, next time, can we talk about learning how to trust yourself?
Yes.
That to me is one of the biggest issues that, and male or female, we all face it. It's, do I trust myself? Do I trust my intuition? Do I trust my instincts? All of that.
Yeah.
And not poo-poo them, because a lot of times they save us from a lot of heartache.
They do. Yeah, and it's vital. It's vital if you want to be a conscious creator of your life, your own life, that you find that ability to trust yourself and to take action and to take full responsibility and accountability and trust that whatever happens after that is for you, not against you, but for you, for your greater learning and growth and understanding. Yeah, I've had some powerful lessons in that, and that actually is a part of the Reclaim You course. We'll have a whole week on trusting oneself.
Oh, good. I struck gold then.
You did.
So, Dan, is there anything that you'd like to say to our audience? I know that we need to get out the information about how they can get to Reclaim You and how they can get to you in a positive way and that kind of thing.
Yes. So, Kevin, do you have the ability to post the little flyer that I sent you, the marketing flyer with the breakdown of Reclaim You?
Hold on. You're testing my skills now.
That's okay. Even if it's after, that is a really great breakdown of what to expect and some of the topics of the program, and then where you can contact me. But just so you know right now, so it's a 12-week course with 1 hour live Zoom calls every week. We're going to do 3 live bonus events. These events are going to be incredible. They're going to be filled with all kinds of topics based on the feedback that the group gives me. And I have lots of amazing friends and connections and speakers and mentors that I'm connected to that I'll bring in, and we'll be sharing on different topics. So that will be talked about. And then I have a list of things that I couldn't fit in the course that I wanted to talk about that I'll be bringing to those bonus events too. So then you'll also get monthly one-on-one sessions with me. You'll have bonuses like pre-recorded hypnosis recordings for maximum healing, the things that I used and I did to retrain my brain and letting go of and releasing old programs and ideas and experiences that I had that created blocks, and then stepping into new ones. And then you'll have accountability buddies. You'll have recordings of all the calls. I think that's incredible bonus, like incredible package. So $3,600 value for this round, and this round only. I have for those of you listening, I have a gift, a launch gift. And if you put in the code LAUNCH GFT, launch gift, on our website, innerworldmovement.com, when you go into, you can order the course today, then what happens is you'll get that for $1,500. And it is an exciting time to be a part of this particular group coaching.
And remember, it's a 12-week course. So if you break it down over the 12 weeks, it's $100 a week. It's less than that.
Right.
So that's good. So
it's
there.
Huge value. Yep. And on that page, you can email me at info@innerworldmovement.com. And there's lots of ways to go about those payments and things like that. So please reach out if this is something you feel drawn to be a part of. I'm here to listen. I'm here to work with you and help you find a way to make that happen. Just like at the beginning of my journey, I chose in and the universe provided. I believe that can happen for everyone who feels to be a part of this. So again, I have limited seats left. So those of you that feel drawn, please take action. Let's hear it. I'd love to talk to you.
If you are having the conversation with yourself, is this all there is? I would really like there to be more. I would really like to understand who I am, what I'm about, and why I'm really here. This would be a great course for you to reclaim who you are, and to work with Dana, because she's all about that. And so are her people, and you'll meet some people that you'll have friends for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. The people that are joining are just, I mean, incredible. The time that I've spent with them, I feel so honored to be coaching them in this program. And they're top-notch people that I cannot wait to connect more with. They'll be in a safe space and a great community.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Dana Parker from Inner World Movement, thank you very much for being on the podcast today. And you're going to be here every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. And next time we're going to talk about trust in yourself, trust in who you are, and trust that you can get it done and stuff. And then in future episodes, we're going to talk about the paradigm shift from making it hard to make it easy.
Yeah.
And other really cool things that Dana's been working a long time on. So I want to thank you again, my friend, for doing this. And there are people that are going to take this course and are going to run with it. I just know it. So don't wait too long, guys, because it's going to sell out, and you want to be part of it. Thank you, Dana.
So thank you, Kevin. You're amazing. It's always a pleasure and such a joy for me.
Me as well. So everybody take care. Enjoy your Tuesday afternoon. And remember, we'll be here next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. So we'll see you next time.
See you then.
Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other, because each other's all we've got. See you next time.